Let me be straight with you. The Baltimore Ravens just made a pick that most fans are going to sleep on tonight, and those same fans are going to be thanking the front office 5 years from now when this guy is dominating the NFL. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest Baltimore Raven updates on the planet. With the 14th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens selected Ayiva Venga-Yuan, the offensive guard out of Penn State. And before you roll your eyes and click away, hear me out. Because this is not boring. This is actually one of the smartest moves any team made on day one of this entire draft. Now let me ask you something real quick. How many times last season did you watch Lamar Jackson scramble for his life behind an offensive line that looked like it had never seen a real NFL pass rusher before? How many times did you sit there, watching the Ravens' offense fall apart, and the problem wasn't the quarterback, it was the guys supposed to be protecting him? That answer right there is exactly why this pick happened. Who is Ayiva Venga-Yuan? Let's break it down. This kid is 22 years old. 6'4", 320 pounds of pure, physical nastiness in the trenches. He came out of Penn State and had one of the most dominant seasons you'll see from any offensive lineman in college football. Run blocking. Insane. He moves defenders off the ball like they owe him money. Pass protection. Barely got beat all season long for the Nittany Lions. And that's not an exaggeration, that's what the tape shows. He plays with serious pop in his hands. The grip strength, the leverage, the way he latches onto defenders and controls them. It's textbook elite guard play. Yes, he's still a little stiff in pass protection when dealing with speed rushes around the edge, but that's what coaching is for. And with Dwayne Leadford stepping in as the new offensive line coach in Baltimore, this kid is walking into exactly the right development situation to fix that one flaw in his game. Multiple NFL scouts and general managers across the league have openly called Venga-Yuan a 10-plus year starter at the professional level. People are already talking about him in the same breath as some of the great interior linemen of this generation. Built in the mold of a long-term Pro Bowl guard, multiple Pro Bowls, potentially. That's the ceiling here, and the Ravens just grabbed it at 14. But wait until you hear why Baltimore felt they absolutely could not pass on this guy, even with other big names still sitting on the board. Why this pick makes total sense for Baltimore here is the cold, hard truth that every Ravens fan needs to accept. You win in the NFL by either protecting your quarterback or destroying the other team's quarterback. That's it. That's the formula. Every Super Bowl team in the last decade has lived and died by that principle. The Ravens have Lamar Jackson, a guy they just handed over $50 million a year to. $50 million per year. That is the biggest financial commitment in the entire history of this franchise. And last season, they had Daniel Fale and Andrew Voorhees as starting guards, two guys who, to put it gently, were an absolute disaster in pass protection. Lamar was getting hit constantly. He was banged up. He was running for his life on plays that should have been clean pockets. The protection was genuinely broken. So the Ravens looked at their biggest investment, Lamar Jackson, and they said, "We are not letting that happen again." Full stop. Was Ruben Bane still on the board? Yes. Was Kenyan Sadique available? Absolutely. Was Mikai Lemon sitting there for the taking? He was. And look, any one of those three would have been a solid pick. But when Baltimore's front office asked themselves one simple question, who is still going to be playing at an elite level 7 years from now, the answer kept coming back to Venga-Yuan every single time. Now here's your comment challenge. Drop your answer below right now. Who was your pick at 14 for the Ravens? Was it Bane, Sadique, Lemon, or did Baltimore nail it with Venga-Yuan? Drop a name and fight it out in the comments. What about the other names on the board? Let's talk about it because the draft board told a really interesting story last night. Carnell Tate went shockingly early at pick 4. Avell Reese went 5 to New York. The LSU quarterback Masort Lane landed at 6 in Kansas City. Sonny Styles headed to Washington. Jordan Tyson, honestly a little painful to watch go to New Orleans. Fono went to Cleveland. Francis Mauinoa to the Giants. Then the Cowboys traded up to grab Downs at 11. Proctor went 12 to Miami. And in a real stunner, Ty Simpson went 13 to Los Angeles, right before Baltimore stepped up and grabbed their guy at 14. So yes, by the time Baltimore was on the clock, Bane was still there. Sadique was still there. Lemon was still there. The Ravens made a deliberate, calculated choice to go offensive line over skill positions, and here is why that's not as crazy as it sounds. The Ravens front office clearly has confidence in their pass rusher room with Mike Green and Tavius Robinson. If they were worried about the edge position, Ruben Bane would have been the pick, no question. The fact that they passed on him tells you exactly how they feel about their defensive depth. And Mikai Lemon. Look, the talent is real. But Baltimore is hunting for a big-bodied wide receiver, a true X-receiver on the outside who can win contested catches and stretch the field vertically. Lemon is a shifty, smaller slot-style player, actually really similar in style to some of the receivers already in Baltimore's system. That overlap made him a lower priority. In rounds 2 and 3, Baltimore has real options to address that need. Guys like Chris Bell and Ted Hurst are sitting right there waiting. But wait, what about the glaring question mark that this pick actually creates at the center position? The question that still needs an answer here is the one thing this pick does not solve, and every Ravens fan needs to pay attention to this. Baltimore still doesn't have a clear answer at center. They signed John Simpson to a 3-year deal at $10 million a year during free agency. Emory Jones Jr. is in the mix after being drafted in the 3rd round last year. Now Venga-Yuan enters the picture. They are not moving Venga-Yuan to center. That's not happening. He is a guard, he will play guard, and he will be competing for one of those 2 starting spots the moment he walks into training camp. If he beats out John Simpson, so be it. If he beats out Emory Jones Jr., that's just how the football world works. Competition makes everyone better. But the center spot? That answer is still coming, likely in round 3 of this very draft. What I know for certain is this: whoever wins those guard battles, this offensive line is going to look dramatically different and dramatically better than what Ravens fans suffered through last season. Final verdict: is this pick worth celebrating? Getting an offensive lineman in round 1 is never going to feel like Christmas morning. It doesn't have the same energy as drafting a wide receiver with blazing speed or a cornerback who will be in highlight reels every Sunday. It feels more like opening a gift and finding socks inside. You're not jumping off the walls, but 6 months later when your feet are warm and comfortable, you're genuinely glad someone was thinking ahead. That's Venga-Yuan. That's this pick. It's not the flashiest move Baltimore could have made last night, but it might end up being the most important one. Protecting a $50 million quarterback with a guy who scouts are projecting as a multi-time Pro Bowl starter. That's not boring. That's called building a winner. The Ravens still need to address wide receiver, defensive tackle, and tight end as this draft continues, and there's genuine talent available at all 3 positions in the later rounds. Justin Jolly out of NC State at tight end in round 4 is a name to watch. Eli Strickland could be in play in round 2. Baltimore's board has options and they know how to use them. But when the dust settles on this entire draft class, do not be surprised if Ayiva Venga-Yuan turns out to be the best pick Baltimore made all weekend. The Ravens protected their franchise. Now let's see them build around it. Let's go Ravens.